All right, it's Monday on Daily Delivery. Michael Rand here, Patrick Reusse, Star Tribune columnist, with me here as well. We're going to get to some NBA and NBA, NFL, NHL playoffs here in a little bit, getting ahead of myself, Patrick. But before we get to that, which of the 28 Twins hits did you enjoy the most in these last six
I,
games? Was it the
I
one
would
Sunday?
I would say Kirilloff's. Yes, it was. As I said on Twitter, this proves that the Twins are going to be much harder to no hit with Kirilloff in the lineup. But the other thing about the Twins is when you hear they have no hits after 6 innings, you think, okay, who's pitching for the other team? But now it doesn't make any difference.
No.
It could be anybody. It could be some guy off the street. They're terrible. They're now number 30 in the major leagues, 220. They have fallen to 220, and they. I looked a couple of days earlier when they were standing tough at 225, and they were like 28th, but they've taken over 30th place. People tell me batting average doesn't matter. When it's 220, it matters. When it's
Yeah.
2, it matters. So anyway, yeah, it's brutal, and I knew it wasn't going to be a good lineup. I said that when the year started, but I had no idea it could be this bad. One of the things I mentioned early on was, what if we saw the best that Jose Miranda has to offer?
Yes.
Sometimes those young guys, are more impressive until they start working on them. I
Yep.
wouldn't be surprised if he ends up back in St. Paul when Kyle Farmer gets healthy. If he might be over there holding hands with Larney. So anyway, I wouldn't be shocked because he is really in the tank and he can't play third base either. So he's a hack over there. So
Yeah, I
anyway,
was I was worried about him coming into the year too. I think that's a good, I think we made the unfortunate but maybe apt at this point Danny Valencia comparison.
yes,
Remember
that's
Danny in
oh yeah,
2010? I think he hit over 300, a lot of pop. You're like, hey, there's
yeah.
your third baseman of the future for the next 5 or 10 years. He was on everything. He was hitting the ball to right field, left field, over the seats, and then started trying to pull everything. Got home run happy, and that was about it for him here. He was okay, I think, when he got moved around a few places. He could still hit, but
He hit
careful with the
well,
half season sample size on some of these guys.
yes, yes, and he could hit the left-handed pitching. Danny could always hit left-handed pitching, so that's what saved him to some degree. Miranda was actually here uh, 5 months last year, wasn't he?
He was,
Almost
yeah,
five.
he was here a lot of the year last year.
Yeah, he was, but and he was, I went over to St. Paul and did a piece on him the year before when he'd come up from Wichita,
Yeah.
and, and he was tearing it up, and he looked like a hitter, but I saw him in the field there, and he was trying to play. They tried him in left field, and his life was in danger. And then they put him at third, and he wasn't very good there. And he's not an athlete. That's his problem. He's slow, and he's not really an athlete. He can't be able to hit, but DH is his natural position, and we already have Buxton doing that. So I, uh, I don't know. It's just right now, who are you going to hang your hat on? I mean, Kepler, you're seeing Kepler at his best there, and it's
Right.
230, right? Jorge Polanco, he might not be the same with that knee, Buxton. And if Correa is going to be anything close to what he is now, this lineup has no chance, right? He's got to do something for you.
We got all the Joey Gallo stories in before he went on
Yes.
his 0 for 23 skid.
Yeah, yeah. I managed to. I was talking to Phil Miller about that last night because I ended a column with about 5 graphs
I
of
saw that.
Bravo praising him to the highest, and then Phil wrote a feature on him the next day, and he hasn't had a hit since.
No, literally has not had a hit
No, I'm
since.
not lying. He hasn't had a hit since. He's 0 for 23. He hasn't had a hit since they left town. So it's and you watch go Joey now, and for a 6'7" guy, he's a really good athlete. But that swing is stiff as a board. He's got that stiff hack, and if the ball is someplace where he's not expecting it, he's got no chance. And he can get ahead in the count once in a while, take some pitches, but this whole idea that, okay, now we got Kirilloff and we'll play Joy in left field, that he was going to be like a 120 game player, that's not going to work too well either. So I don't know. They're just, they got San Diego coming to town Tuesday. It'll be very interesting to compare those two lineups.
Right.
Machado, Tatis, Soto, those fellas, now they got hundreds of millions invested in their lineup, but it's going to be an interesting. That is how the Twins' lack of hitting will be dramatized severely in that series.
Twins have a lot of money invested in it too, though. But I mean, they're paying Buxton, they're paying Correa. I mean, it is kind of amazing where they are right now, and it's not so much that they're flat out bad, because I think before the Cleveland series, I think they were like pretty much right on league average for runs scored per game. It's just they're all over the map. Like they'll get 9 one game. And I looked it up, so I did a little math this morning before we started recording. Looked it up, and we're remember those old math terms, mean, median, and mode. They're mode, Patrick. Mode is the most common number of runs scored per game for them. Their most common number this year is 2. That's the number they've scored the most this year. 2 runs in a game. That's when you're inconsistent like that, it's just they'll put up a 9 or a 10 every now and then to keep the average up, the average run scored. But there's too many games where they're just not doing anything.
11 runs in a first inning in New York was kind of an abomination too. So
yes, that'll help the overall numbers.
Yeah, they've done that. But yes, their number of games where they don't hit at all is amazing. How many they played now?
35.
35. Okay, so you're approaching the 4-quarter pole. I just don't think they're going to hit. I don't know how they're going to hit. I really don't. Kirilloff's going to help, but he's not stretch it into a double, score a run type of guy. He'll get on base. He'll get a lot of singles, some doubles, but I just, the only way they can score a run right now is hit a home run.
Well, yeah, 18 games in a row where they had a homer, right? And that was snapped on Sunday.
And in those 18 games, they were under 500, right? They probably were.
I would think so, yeah.
They were 10-4, right? At one point, I think they were 10-4 or 11-4, maybe.
Yeah, I think they were 11-4 at one point before they hit that skid at some. Yeah,
11-4. I don't know. They're just boy. I just did this morning. Though I looked around baseball. They had 15 games yesterday in baseball. They had over 40,000 people at 6 ballparks. They had over 35,000 at 3 more ballparks. They had 32,000 in Tampa.
Wow.
For good sakes, because the Yankees were in town and they're playing good. So there's a lot of places drawn. We aren't one of them. And I don't know if this, the horrible weather had something to do with it.
Yeah.
Interesting this week if anybody comes to the ballpark, because the weather's supposed to be better. So
yeah. By the way, Patrick, you said the Twins are hitting 220. Luis Arias is hitting 420.
Yeah. Okay. I brought that up. People get mad at me. He doesn't make a difference. Well, I don't know. Somebody said his WAR was like 5th, 12th in the top 12 or something, whatever WAR is. I don't know. All I know is if you got a guy hitting 420 in your lineup, you'd be hitting 250 as a team. And this team desperately needs, I know leadoff hitters in the DH era aren't what they used to be, but this team desperately needs somebody having a good at bat in front of Carlos Correa if he's going to hit for you. That's what Arias did. They need desperately to get some pressure put on the other team, and they can't do it with this lineup. They don't have a leadoff hitter. Nobody even approaches being a leadoff hitter. So I've been down on the lineup since they got back from Florida, and it's worse than I thought it was going to be. So,
now, the pitching is still better than we thought it would be, even, with some injuries. Tyler Mahle transferred to the 60-day injured list on Friday, part of a whole flurry of moves they made that day. But the pitching is third in baseball in ERA, second in starters ERA. I guess my question to you, Patrick, is the worry that I have is, and I think we've talked about this maybe a few weeks ago, is the pitching more likely to regress than the offense is to progress, I guess is how I would put it.
Well, Joe Ryan has been. I mean, you got three guys who just pitched extremely well, and Pablo's been good, and he's been your third best. Ryan and Sonny Gray have both been better than him. So I don't know. I like Louis Varland, but I don't think he's ready to be a big league starter. And I like Ober. Ober will be fine. But yeah, it's going to regress a little, I would think, because Sonny Gray's not going to be what he is now, and it's going to regress some. I still like the bullpen. I think the bullpen will be fine. And I mean, not having Theobar hurts, but the hitting will get a little better, I would have to think. I mean, Correa's not going to hit 210, but
Yeah.
I'm just not. They're not going to be a run scoring machine. That is for sure. I just had a thought, and I wish it would return to me. That happens when you're fighting a cold and you're old, and So I said this the other day, Mike, that people say getting old is hard. No, it's not. Being old is hard. That's what's once you've arrived, that's what's hard. When you're getting there, it's not hard. It's 2 years ago, I did everything I ever did. Now it's hard. It's, because I've gotten there. It's old. I've gotten there. That's what makes it harder. Okay. Anyway,
getting old is the easy part. Being old is the hard
getting
part.
old is being arriving is what's the hard part. Yeah, when you sit down in a chair and then your knees don't want to help you get up, that's the hard part. And of course, forgetting what you just had thought about is also the hard part. But we digress, as we often do on this segment on Monday mornings.
If it makes you feel any better, I had a thought and I can't remember right now either. So maybe I'm arriving at old too now. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But I did have a thought, and that's escaping me about the Twins. But I was going to here it is. I found it.
Let's get on them about the bases loaded.
Yes,
bases loaded. It's the only team you turn the game on and you say, I sure hope they don't have the bases loaded. It's again. He walks to and hits somebody yesterday in the second inning. How in God's name can you not get him for a couple of runs then before he gets rolling? It's awful. It's unbelievable how rotten they are with the bases loaded. Are we going to? I hate to do this, get rid of the coach thing, but the new highly analytical baseball guru that they have running the hitting, David Popkins. Are you going to look at this guy?
Yeah.
They went in the tank last year down the stretch, and they're terrible now. He's not helping anybody. Nobody's being helped. Isn't that supposedly that's what all this analytical stuff was about? Nobody's helped. Nobody's getting helped.
Well, and bases loaded hitting is all about good at bats, right? I mean, that's just not what they're doing right now. When you have the bases loaded, the pitcher is at a disadvantage because you can't walk anybody anymore. Yes. You have to throw a strike and a good strike
in the middle of the plate. Yeah.
That's what I was going to say before is when was the last time we had a Twins team like this that was just this good at pitching and so inconsistent's the most polite word we can say about the hitting, that there was just so much predicated on the pitching. I can't remember a Twins team like this, and I think this is their identity. I mean, they're a first place team with this right now. It's a bad division, but they're a first place team with it right now. I can't remember a Twins team like this.
I would have to go back and look, but there's been very few when when pitching was stronger than the hitting is. I mean, you probably have to go back to the year of the pitcher or something like that. 68.
68, yeah.
68, 69. You probably have to, but that's when the whole league hit 225 or something, and they lowered the mound. The only team that I was looking up the batting average thing. The lowest batting average they've ever had as a team was 227. That was 1968. And then the next year, the pitching mound was lowered because that was Bob Gibson.
Yeah.
1.12, and nobody hit that year. So, but there's been a couple when we made a lot of fun of their lack of hitting, but I'd really have to go back and look. I can't do it off the top of my head, but
Well,
there was a couple where the pitching wasn't bad and the hitting was terrible.
yeah. I just can't remember it ever being a year where they were ostensibly good, like they could win with this formula. I'm
Yes.
sure there's been years where the hitting was worse than the pitching, but it's probably that they were both not all that good. But the pitching really is good. It's just can it carry them, and can they find some offense somewhere? Because it's hard to watch 28 hits in 6 games. That's fewer than 5 a game. They're going fast though, at least.
Both those teams were struggling too. This was Cleveland's first winning series in 6.
Yeah.
And of course, White Sox have been terrible. They won a game before the Twins got there, but they were playing too. Now they come back, and the schedule gets tough here for a while. So
Yes.
We'll see. I don't know where you're going to get. Is Kyle Farmer going to be there Tuesday and make you better? I don't think that's the solution. And I don't know. You know who's frustrated? The manager, because
He seems like it. Yeah.
Yeah, we have to have better at bats.
Yes.
In these situations. He's not sugarcoating everything. Plus, he got thrown out of 2 games. He's turned into Gardy. He's getting thrown out all the time, and so it's certainly a frustrating situation for them, to say the least. But somebody said this today on Twitter, or sent me this. The American League Central, in I think it's on base percentage, is 26th, 27th, no, 25th, 26th, 28th, 29th, and 30th.
Wow.
They have 5 of the lowest 6, or maybe it's OPS. Maybe it's OPS. I bet it's OPS. There's like 5 of the last 6 spots. So
that's amazing.
Yes, that's the only thing saving you. Kansas City's got their worst records ever in the franchise history. They're off to the worst start they've ever had, and Detroit's been a big flop, and Cleveland's not nearly as good, and the White Sox have been a big flop. So that's the only thing saving these fellas.
Take a playcation to Mystic Lake. With 24/7 gaming, the good times never have to end. And you can satisfy your cravings at our restaurants and bars. Or relax in one of our luxurious hotel rooms. Those that play together, stay together. And don't forget to join Club M so you can spark new memories and bask in the rewards along the way. Follow the lights to Mystic Lake, where every day is play day.
Speaking of saving these fellas, let's transition to Timberwolves NBA playoffs. Tim Connelly the other day was on with Chad Hartman, and Chad very poignantly, very pointed right at the beginning of the show, said, asked him twice, can you commit to the Timberwolves, that Washington job still hanging out there? And he did not commit to them. He didn't not commit to them, but it was a very telling answer when he basically just said, that's the plan. I plan to be here. Things like that. What do you make of this whole thing, and what would happen if he did bolt after one season in that Gobert trade?
He becomes the Norm Green of the Timberwolves. Nobody will ever top Norm by taking a team out of here, right?
Yes.
But he will become, long after I'm gone, there'll still be Tim Connelly jokes being told if the franchise is still here. You can't do this. You got to have more ethics than this. I don't care if your family's from Washington or not, from out there in that area. You cannot do this. You cannot come in, say, I don't have to tear this thing up, and then tear it up 2 weeks later, and then leave, which is going to be a new ownership that basically is the ones that found you to hire you. You can't do this. You can't be that unethical. But it is sports, so what the hell? Maybe you can be, but this isn't a transfer portal here. This is
Right.
This is a guy who does this as a slime ball. Okay, if he would do that, I'm not saying he is. I'm saying he is if he leaves.
Yeah, and he, again, no indication that he's going to leave, but just the way he answered the question, saying, I'm just totally focused on the Timberwolves, when asked point blank if he's committed to staying with the Wolves no matter what. He said, trying to get us better. We didn't do better than last year, so we have to figure out how to make this team better. And then later, asked again a second time, he said, that's certainly the plan. That's why we came here, moved here. We had a lot of unfinished business. It's been a really fun year on and off the court, and we're fully committed to being a Timberwolf. So, it's not like he isn't committed, but when you answer it like that, you're still saying that the door is kind of open, right? It was just a very strange way of answering the question.
And Washington has not acted yet, right?
No, not that I know. I don't think so.
I don't know. He's it's you can't do that. You cannot do this, but who knows? It's sports, and they'll come up with some phony baloney excuse if it were to happen, and then wish him the best, I suppose. I don't know. But yeah, we're getting ahead of ourselves here, though. But he says he intends to stay. Let's take him at his word, even though his word's a little vague.
Yes, exactly. The playoffs themselves have been great. I mean, just
last night that Philadelphia finish was fantastic. Philadelphia and Boston. Did you see that game?
I did. Yeah, it was tremendous. I saw that game. I saw the end of the Philadelphia Boston and the Denver Phoenix game. Both of them were outstanding. It's just been, I don't know, the level of play in the league right now, and the amount of parity right now is just amazing.
Yeah, it is by NBA standards. And then you have Jokic getting a technical for taking the ball away from the new Phoenix owner. The Phoenix owner should get fined $50,000 for holding the basketball. Jokic is trying to go over there, grab it out of the stands, and get the fast break started, which is what he does. So why, but yeah, that series has got a little vim and vinegar in it now too. And I guess Philadelphia can say they go as Harden goes, right? He's had 40 twice and they've won, and he's been horrible in 2 other games and they lost. So, man, did you see that Tatum push off that didn't get called?
Yeah, that was unbelievable.
It
was like a forearm shiver. He just
and the guy
pushed
5 feet away from it. Call it. What the hell? That was unbelievable.
Well, and then not getting the shot off at the end. I was watching with the sound off, so I didn't quite know what was going on. I didn't realize that it was late, so it was unbelievable.
I thought it was good. It was late by a tick, right?
It was by like a half second. It wasn't. It was pretty clear.
It was clear, but that was a fantastic game. I didn't watch much of the second one. What was I watching? I don't know. Can't remember. Got into some TV show, I guess. But yeah, they've been great. And we were talking about this earlier. That rugged Dallas defense gave up 7 to the crackheads last night, for goodness sakes. It's going to be the dangest playoff conference finals in history. Seattle versus Vegas, the 2 expansion teams, and then Carolina versus Florida, those 2 meccas of hockey markets, Raleigh and Miami. And I think Carolina's already won a cup, right?
Yes, I think so. It was a while ago, but yes.
Florida played in a final. I know that. They played in a final once. But we're sitting here 20 years in, the greatest support ever for a franchise in the state of hockey. We've never been in a conference final.
Not for 20 years. No, we've been there 2003.
a Stanley Cup final.
No, they haven't even.
Stanley Cup final.
No, they haven't.
When you got the crackheads going in their second year, probably. I don't know. It's unbelievable. I don't get it. Hockey it's the weirdest game ever, though. You know, when the North Stars first came in the league, 12 teams, you know, the second six, there wasn't a lot of parity to worry about, right? I mean, the good teams were great. But now that you have the talent is spread over 32 teams, they're all the same. Everybody's the same. You play a game and, you know, it's 3-2 and, you know, there's 10 stars in the league and everybody else is the same. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. And just watching like the Wild, you know, I think we probably talked about this last week, but like the Wild not be able to get in on this party, right? Like just seven straight early exits. Like one of these years you would think they would just kind of like fluke their way into the conference finals because they've been there. They've had teams that are theoretically not great, but like good enough to go on one of those runs, and they really just haven't. They haven't been able to do that, and it's been different iterations. It's been different combinations. It's been different GMs. It's been different coaches. It's been different players, and nowhere along the line have they just kind of like found their way into that situation.
You know, making it's like the Twins. Making it to the playoffs is fun for a while, right? But then when they turn into an embarrassment, then you'd rather not make the playoffs.
Yes,
lottery, because when you've lost your first series 7 years in a row, or you've lost 18 straight games, which is worse. You're saying, "Oh, good, they're going to make the playoffs again this year." With the Twins, it's not, can they win a series? It's, can they win a game? No, probably not. But we're not going to have to worry about it with this collection. Somebody's going to pass them. But anyway, so yeah, it's the NHL and NBA playoffs have both been great, and we've been watching from the sidelines here for another month or so.
yeah.
I'm worried about my Knicks, though. Man alive, I thought they were going to handle Miami, but I don't know. The Tibbs is going to go from a hero to how the hell did he lose to an 8th? So,
That's a heck of an 8 seed, though. I mean, and just the fun of him and Butler. Just there's so many storylines this year, and so many connections still to Minnesota. And unfortunately, to a certain degree, like D'Lo just going off the other night for the Lakers.
yeah.
Butler, I think Suhan wrote about that the other day. Just all the different Minnesota former Wolves connections still in the playoffs right now. But it's amazing to see, and I don't know how that team gets there right now.
Yeah, when you look at D'Lo now, though, it just irritates you, right? To see him try.
Yes.
Yeah, it's you watch him and he's trying to be good, and he's you know, playing with the right guys now, but you know, he's been good. And,
it's a much better system. Anytime you get to play with LeBron, you're probably going to have a better chance to succeed than if you're playing with anybody else.
But you know, the funny thing is, in the playing game, they in the first round, they had him sitting on the bench for the last 15 minutes of that one game. So we were all laughing at D'Lo, but now he's out there making shots and being the courtside interview after the game's over. It kind of disgusts you because how often he didn't care, you know, how often he just went out there and mailed it in. So
he's like the Twins offense. He gets his 20 points a game by getting 35, 12, and 12. Right?
Yeah,
it's just,
that's right. Yeah.
Kind of maddening like that, where he'll get to an average without getting there without a whole lot of consistency. Hey, before
one more thing, I was going to mention the Gophers softball team.
That's what I was going to say. We're on the same page. Go ahead.
Autumn Pease, 2 more shutouts, and we had Marcus Fuller did a good feature on her on Thursday, and they won 2 games by shutouts, and then the middle game, when they went with their other pitchers, they won 13-10.
Wow!
So it was they did a lot of hitting in there, but they're a cinch to be in the NCAA tournament. I wonder if they could win the tournament, they might end up getting the Hollister region. I don't know. They're third in the league right now, behind Northwestern and Indiana, but they're a big solid third. So. it would be if they could get one of the 16 seeds and the top 16 seeds, then you get to host a regional.
Right.
They did that at 19, and of course made it to the World Series. So that'll be fun. They deserve some good weather, and when they pack them in over there when they get good weather and they're playing good, and that's anyway. That's a good team, and they kind of brought in some transfers and a lot of out of state kids, but they still have Den Hartog as a 5th-year senior. I wrote a column about her, and they got the great pitcher. So that's fast pitch softball. Can you pitch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a hot goalie in the NHL playoffs, right? It's if you get one, then you got enough.
It does pretty well on TV too. ESPN puts a lot of it on TV. Not the Big Ten Network does too, but ESPN's got SEC softball games wall to wall now at this time of year. So,
well, go read that. Go read your column. That was awesome. I enjoyed that the other day, and read Marcus's piece too. Patrick, go rest your voice. Let's give this one. Let's call this one right now, and we'll go do a little bit more next week.
We should be better next week, but it usually lasts about. My friend Suture calls it ricey voice, and it shows up in the spring and the fall for about 10 days. So
extra raspy. It's always got some rasp, but I want you to rest that voice and get all better. All right.
It's a tradition for listeners over at KSTP. So.
Unlike any other.
Yes. Right. See ya.
Thank you, sir.